Power scaling. The idea of comparing a character's strength to that of other characters is often done in many anime and manga communities. But power scaling isn't always as constant because of a very large number of things. First, there are changes in how each of the stories are told in each series. Each anime or manga series has its own rules, powers, and limits that apply to its world. This makes it extremely hard to compare characters from different series in different universes in a fair way. For example, my two characters that I'll be using for today, Gojo Satoru and Goku. For example, the way power works in the JJK universe is very different from the way it works in the Dragon Ball universe. Gojo's power, called the Limitless Curse Technique, comes from his ability to change space at an atomic level. This gives him different abilities such as putting an infinite distance between himself and his opponent, making it impossible for most strikes to even reach him. Goku's power, on the other hand, is very straightforward. It usually comes from his physical strength, speed, martial arts skills, and his abilities to gather and control energy, like with his signature Kamehameha. Now, while it would be an interesting argument, are we really sure that Goku could end up breaking through infinity? Now, you might say Gojo doesn't have the power to hurt Goku, and I'll be with you on that. Then again, Goku doesn't have the power to hurt Gojo. It's an argument, it's a battle that will go on forever because, as we know, Gojo basically has limitless curse technique, limitless cursed energy. He can never run out of using his infinite as long as he exists. So that would just be a fight that would go on for millennium until Gojo dies naturally, I guess. Trying to compare these two characters is like trying to compare apples and oranges because their powers and the rules of their worlds are so different. Second, power scaling isn't always the same because the story is being told from very different points of view. Different writers and artists have different ideas about what their characters should be like. In Dragon Ball, Goku's enemies are always getting stronger, so his skills are almost always getting better to match his enemies. Gojo, on the other hand, is shown right away as probably the strongest Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerer in history. Well, Sukuna has something to say about that now, but I digress. Power levels can change based on what the story needs, and since these stories are made by different people with different goals, it's practically impossible to compare them in a fair way. In the world of JJK, for example, Satoru Gojo and Sukuna are two of the most dangerous people in the verse. Gojo is at the top of his universe because of his limitless curse technique and his 6 eyes, and Sukuna is being at the top of his universe because he is the king of curses and has a lot of power, skill, and experience. But in an imagined fight between them, which is happening right now, a linear scale of power wouldn't tell you for sure what would happen exactly. Nobody can predict what's going to happen in the Sukuna and Gojo fight. Gege Akutami, the author, has the freedom to choose the outcome based on the needs of the story, the growth of the characters, or the overall theme. Simple as that. For example, Akutami can set up a situation in which Gojo can't use all of his power because of certain rules or limits. This would give Sukuna an edge in the same way. In the same way, Sukuna could be put in a position where he can't use all of his skills, giving Gojo the upper hand. The author could also add things like the setting, the sneak attacks, emotional states that could change how the fight goes. Power scaling can give you a general idea of how strong a skill the character is compared to others. But it's not the only thing that matters in a fight. In the end, you have the plot, the character arcs, the message of the story. They have a lot of things to do with the way the story ends out. Akutami or any other author has the final say over who wins a fight. This shows that story and theme can be more important than traditional power scaling. But then we have practical idiots who try to compare Goku and Gojo to characters like Akutosai from Demon King Daimyo. These characters are limitless and all-powerful. Comparing them to characters like Gojo or Goku is a waste of time because the skills are so different in size and scope. Akutosai's powers go to the point where he becomes a godlike being with the ability to change reality, control time, and stay alive forever. He's shown to be something that can be measured in any way that we know of. This amount of power is pretty much unlimited, which is a lot more than what you see in most anime shows. Goku, in fact, the entire Dragon Ball and JDK verse can't do nothing with this man. But then I still see people trying to compare him to Gojo and Goku into and comparing also Rimuru Tempest from Reincarnated as a Slime. That's the wrong idea. That's never gonna match because these characters are practically impossible to compare to any other characters. But that doesn't take away from the strength that Gojo and Goku has in their own universes. They're probably top 10 strongest people in their own universes. Even though Gojo has a lot of cursed energy and he can use the limitless curse technique, he still uses the power method set up in JJK. In the same way, even when Goku is in his most powerful form, he still has a limit to how strong he can be. He usually gets past this limit through training, willpower, and drive. But if you compare somebody with no limits like Akuto Sai or Rimuru Tempest to someone with limits like Gojo or Goku, the power scaling becomes less useful and more vague because Akuto's powers are all powerful. They don't follow the usual method for increasing power. It also leads to arguments about whether or not such comparisons are even relevant or fair, given how different the rules of power and story are in each series. The differences in powers and how powers are scaled show how each artist gives their characters and stories their own theme and story. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. In the end, power scaling can give you a channel's idea of what the character can do, but it's not a perfect way to predict how battles will go or a fair way to compare characters from different stories. In narrative context, authorial purposes, thematic elements, and the rules of each series will all have a big impact on how characters act and how their conflicts turn out. Goku fighting Gojo in Gojo's universe, Gojo might win that. Gojo fighting Goku in his universe, Goku might win that. You never really know. That's it for me, y'all. Let me know y'all thoughts in the comment section below, and I'm out.